Well, it's a day ending in a Y, so of course the Miraculous creator Thomas Astruc is once more creating some controversy, but this time it has gotten a few people in a few different fandoms pretty upset. This tweet has saying, quote, "We are in need of a Miraculous and Fortnite collab. Can we please get Season 6 Asia Chat and Marybug in Fortnite? I need Marinette in my locker. I think it's a great idea as it has a lot of content that could be added." And they have a few different tweets in the thread, including what kind of emotes, sidekicks, and backpacks can be put into the game, as well as some other things such as bosses and the notion that because the Season 6 episodes are made in Unreal Engine 5, which has a few bugs, but we'll go with it, it would be easier to adapt the characters to the Fortnite style. However, Thomas, quote, tweeted this and responded with this, which got people going, saying, quote, "A recurring request, but the sticking point is that in Fortnite, weapons are used and other characters are quote-unquote killed. A level of violence that is not compatible with the image of our characters. Thank you for not trying to stir up controversy about this in the comments." And he actually doubled down on this, going on saying, quote, "Children until very late on have trouble distinguishing between reality and fiction and assessing the dangerousness of things. It is therefore necessary to be careful about the reproducibility of what we show them. So the weapons are never ones that they could stumble upon around them and play with by accident. The characters never jump out the window before transforming into superheroes, etc. These are rules commonly applied in Western cartoons. It's a fact, and it's a good thing to pay attention to it. So please refrain from explaining to me in the comments or RTs that is not true or that is stupid, otherwise I block," which he is known to be trigger happy on the block button. But of course, some people are not buying this. In response to Backers Fortnite News' post about this person saying, quote, "The whole of seasons 1 and 2 of Miraculous literally shows an underground place where his wife is dead in an incubator, then he himself is harmed and dies in season 5. Also, Ladybugs and Shadybugs' lucky charms are weapons or tools to be thrown at." This person also saying, "This doesn't make sense to be a reason because the show and Fortnite have the same level of violence. Characters get quote-unquote killed, then everything gets restored." Spelling correct, by the way. "Everyone gets to be revived. It's canon in Fortnite lore. They are clones who get sent back to the lobby. Give me them, please." Somebody else is saying, "So stupid, yet Toy Story and SpongeBob is in Fortnite." And another was saying, "There's plenty of kid-friendly characters that are in Fortnite like Buzz Lightyear and SpongeBob. Why does creator think Fortnite is violent when there's kids playing that game?" This person saying on the Ladybug News post about this, saying, quote, "This excuse sucks when you realize that stuff like Avatar: The Last Airbender, SpongeBob, TMNT, Transformers, Power Rangers, Ben 10, and effing Poppy Playtime got into the game." With another person saying he's a hypocrite, he's been known for being like this, very hard to deal with. And this one saying he is as stupid as F, there's no blood in game. He said Mari died when Mark threw her against a cinema chair. Hawkmoth and Ladybug died in Cat Blanc. They have no excuse not to collab with Fortnite. And as far as the link between real world violence and video game violence, at least video game violence, there have been several studies such as this one from the Royal Society of Open Sciences saying that violent video game engagement is not associated with adolescents' aggressive behavior. Personally, let's just put them in Mortal Kombat that they can do the fatalities, and I would like to see what kind of fatalities they come up with that. I personally think this is not the reason why he doesn't want to do collabs with Fortnite. I think, first of all, Fortnite might have not said anything to him yet. Epic Games might not approached him about this. But the issue with this particular idea is that there's several studies, included the one that I just said in the monologue, which says there's no direct link. Correlation does not equal causation of video game or television violence and real world violence. There's no link there, so where is he seeing that link at? And second of all, Fortnite, and I played Fortnite before, I have, and there's not just the Battle Royale thing, there's other games that they've put in there, like building games, and they have the jam sessions where you are doing a rock band type of game where you're picking a song and then you try to not suck in playing that song, and you use the keyboard. I would wish they would use the actual instruments as controllers or whatever, but there is another thing that is in the game. So it's not just shooting people. And as people have said in the tweets I showed you. And to be fair, there are people who are defending his decision on this, but they're few far between. But it's all comic style weapons. They're not exactly things that people are just going to pick up and just start shooting. So I'm not getting where he's seeing that. And this has more to do with a few things I think are really going on. I believe it has something more to do with control. Now, those particular shows that Fortnite has done deals with, I'm not sure if it's where the originator, the people who own the franchise, have complete control over what Fortnite or Epic Games gets to do with the characters, or if it's more of a licensing thing where they license out the characters and then Epic Games can do what they want to do with them. And the people who license them out just trusting them to, hey, don't do what we wouldn't do, whatever it's the case. Thomas seems to be the type of person that wants complete control and doesn't want to say anything about what he actually would be asking for if he were to do that kind of collab. And that to me would be disingenuous. I would say just say what you really want and say, hey, if we license out these characters, Epic would do whatever they want, and we want more control over the characters. We fear as though we won't have the control that we think we should have with these kinds of characters, and that might have more to do with the thing concerning the guns and stuff like that. But I still don't buy the stuff that Thomas is saying. I don't buy it either. And he has a knack for just going off the rails with some of these things. The Chloe thing is another thing that he gets asked constantly, and he should be asked about that because they should not be letting him get away with that sort of thing. The Queen of the Dead Zone thing, or the Dread Zone thing that he came out with, that's just him being petty again, as the most of season 3 was. And we're at season 6 and he's still petty about that. I don't understand it. But the other thing here that I want to bring up is the idea that I think he's lost touch with this fan base. I think the way that these fans have been with the series since its inception, since its debut, and it seems though they've grown up, but the series has not grown up with them. And Thomas is completely refusing to let that happen. He's refusing to let the series grow up with them and to have maybe a bit more mature storylines or more complex storylines. And he's stuck in this idea that, hey, if you're a kid who's grown up, then this show's not for you anymore. But the people who have been loyal are trying to tell him, hey, we've been loyal to you for so long and you won't respect that. And he's lost touch with this. And there are a few tweets that are saying that, hey, he needs to be removed, he needs to be taken out completely from the creative process. And at this point, I don't know. I feel as though, well, you don't want fans to take complete control over the franchise. You gotta respect a few people who, and just allow somebody to make suggestions and just allow yourself to take a chance. If it means that you have to grow up the franchise, then okay, you do that. Maybe what if scenarios or something like that. But you have to respect your fan base. You have to listen to them. You have to be quiet for 2 seconds and listen. Because half of these, or even 3/4 of the problems that Thomas is having would not be problems. He would just shut up and stop talking for 2 minutes and listen to what these fans are telling him. They're not trying to take over the franchise. They're not doing that. They're trying to tell him, hey, we want this or that. We would like to see you try this or that. We don't want our investment insulted. We don't want our investment thrown back in our faces because you can't seem to take criticism or can't seem to try something that maybe will be good for the franchise, that would maybe be a bit different in the way of the pattern that we've seen. And instead, he's going off the rails on X and no one gets control of it. I'm not sure what the whole thing with the ownership is like with the IP. I don't know if Zagtoons has the IP rights or whatever. If he ends up saying I'm stepping down from Zagtoons, if Jeremy would have the control or whatever. I don't know who would have control at that point, if he would take the franchise with him, if ever left, if he wanted to go with Marvel, DC, or something like that. Good luck doing that, because Marvel would probably want a more mature storyline, want more PG-13 stuff. And I don't know why he wouldn't do that, because we've seen some of the character Bibles, and I've seen one of them where it has Sabrina and Chloe and Alex actually as a trio of B's, and the B stands for something. I'm pretty sure you understand that, and I can show it to you on the screen of what I mean by that. But first, I would be interested to see Alex in that particular group, and second of all, a trio of what? So I don't think that he is completely sold on his own idea either, and he's been known to troll on X before too. But if he's walking people about this, I think he might be serious about this, that he believes this. And if he believes this, then he's out of touch, because there are several studies that are saying that that's not the case. And no, Western shows do have guns in them. Have you seen Batman the Animated Series? Have you seen TMNT? Have you seen Static Shock, which actually dealt with somebody wanting to use a gun to actually shoot somebody? There was an episode about that. The one thing about kids that you also need to realize is that they're not stupid either. They can handle some of these types of topics in shows. They might want to hear about it. They might need to hear about this because they need to know what's out there, what the world is like. And yes, there might be a time in which they have to deal with stuff, sadly, with the amount of school shootings we've seen in the past 10 or so years. So yeah, maybe they need to be taught something about what to do if something were to ever happen, which that is a thing that does happen. You can't just shield everybody from everything forever. Eventually, they're going to learn this stuff, and they're going to learn it much faster than you might expect. That's why I'm believing, and he's got to think this too. He's got to know this too. I believe that this is not the reason. But he's so out of touch with the fan base right now, and no one's trying to bring him back because he has a sort of yes man for him writing the show right now, and he won't grow up the show. He won't do it. And if you notice, every single thing fans have asked him, he does the exact opposite. They want a Chloe redemption arc. He destroys the character assassinating her even more. They want this Fortnite thing. He says the complete opposite, said, oh, I don't want to do it because of this or that. But if you notice, some people were actually bringing up an idea that Chloe is homophobic for some weird reason. I don't know where they got that. But if you notice, Thomas isn't exactly squelching that rumor, even though there's no evidence to support that she is. And respecting the voice actress and the voice actress, Stella Victor is being accused of being a Zionist, and Thomas isn't saying anything in her defense here. What is going on? So you are adamant about trying to protect your show from Fortnite and people who want redemption arcs for characters you don't want redemption arcs for, but you will never go to bat for your voice actors when they get accused of being Zionist or whatever. And this wouldn't go just with Fortnite. What about other games that they would want to do collabs with? They might see this and think, oh, we don't want to do business with him. He's going to think all of this stuff. What about Final Fantasy? What about fighting games like Tekken or Street Fighter? Not only are you leaving easy money on the table there, but you're bringing up a thing which has plagued the industry for years because they can't get out of the shadow of it, even when a lot of studies have said the exact opposite. I mean, he's basically saying what Joe Lieberman did in the 1990s and what Jack Thompson tried to do in the aughts, and you know what happened with him. So no, I don't believe in this at all. I don't believe that he believes this. Because if he does, man alive, this is utterly ridiculous, as a character from that show would say. And I also believe that at this point, that some people may need to start saying what needs to be said, and that he's lost touch with this. Because I don't think he's going to change anything as long as he gets told that maybe it's time for him to step down. Maybe it's time. Because he's leaving money on the table here. He's saying stuff that might damage the reputation with other companies that might want to do collabs. He's saying that, and they see that. What are they going to think about this? If he believes that, this is going to be very damaging to the brand, as if anything else he's said in recent months and recent years has not done that already. But of course, those are just my thoughts. I'd like to hear yours. Please leave comments down below. Please subscribe to the GGC Network. Please take care of yourself and each other, and I will see you next time.